Right. It's that time of the year again. We're doing a Christmas special. Today with two cameras. Camera 1 is my live cam, and switch to camera 2 over there. It's gonna be the table cam. Got it? I'm starting off with the brew from Finland. Very red amber color, sweet, light, good beer. It's been a great season, and this doesn't look much like a finds table, does it? But that has to do with that these finds are no longer in my possession. They're all handed in. And I have work to do if I'm going to get those on the tree. So while I do that, why don't you have a look at how this season started when I found my first recordable artifact ever, the push key, and then we found some other Viking stuff and some early medieval and some early Viking and some late medieval after that. Have a look, and when you're done, I'll have the finds ready. First hunt in Norway, 2013. Cool. Just a couple of buttons so far. This I've never seen anything like this before. I mean, this can be old, so I'm gonna make sure that I know exactly where I am if this has to be reported, or my speculations can be, you know, completely foolish. But it's just out of the ground. It was very shallow. It's not iron. It can be old. So I'm gonna give it a clean and show it to my friend Carl. Maybe he knows what it is. Now, a lot of old stuff has been found on this field and has been given to the museum. This looks fairly old. The question is it before 15? Is it before the Reformation? It looks like a tool, but it also has some inscriptions on the top. Yeah, and it was old. It was this key, which I mistakenly took for a Viking Age key, but we're in the early medieval period, at least according to the letter I got from the museum. They didn't date it they didn't date it at all. They just say medieval. But I've been checking around, and we're in the 1100s to 1300s, and we're in that area. And they had quite sophisticated locks, actually, in that time. But then, as this was found, it didn't take long before we really started to touch on something that was unquestionably Viking. Welcome to this beautiful day. Beautiful scenery. Lillehammer, the Olympic 1994 games, and some kind of very popular new television show. So obviously I'm not gonna find the silver coin today, but I'm quite sure this gilded strap end is Viking with the gold intact. You are the expert.
Oh my god.
With the gold! Det er et beslag.
Ja, det er beslag.
Rembeslag.
Ja, det er beslag. Det er så jævlig.
Med gull. Psycho! There you have it. The gold is still there. But that was not all we found that day. I also found my first centerpiece of a bucket weight lead on the same trip with Digging Hedmark. So I should say cheers to Digging Hedmark. Not much left. I'm taking this very seriously. I've only had one beer so far. And cheers to CA who brought me out on many occasions this season and had me find a lot of good stuff. So I'm gonna take this first part of the special a bit serious, because these are real artifacts, these are real finds. So we've done the push key and the strap band and the bucket weight. Now we're gonna hang them up on the tree, or at least our my homemade versions of them. I promise you I will get more as the night evolves. But we have to finish this serious business first. After all, these are important finds. At least for me. I haven't received any letter from the archaeologist who received the strap end. It's the same county, you see, these two. Although this was in April, I haven't received anything from them yet, but I guess they're busy. First they complain that we don't hand in stuff, and then they complain that we give them too much to do. And then the best find for me this year, if we disregard coins, the best relic, the best artifact, without a doubt, the silver bowl mount. I know I've been saying bowl. Bowl mount, early Viking age, Merovinger. We're talking 700 maybe, 700 year AD. Look at the close-up of the face, the Viking face. Great photos by Christian. This is how it was mounted on the bowl. This is another version. This is a snake head, dragon head version. Great find. I haven't received anything yet from that, obviously, but this one will also have to go on the tree. Just a side note, you know, some of you might ask what in God's name is a bucket weight lead? Good question. I didn't know before I found one either. This is a more modern set, but it's complete, and that's why it's called a bucket. Mine is older. It would have several bucket weights together, mounted together with a lid. Now I found the centerpiece, the one that binds the whole stuff together, but this is at least 400, 500 years more modern. So you could dismantle all the pieces and use them as weights, but you could also put them all together like a traveler's kit. That's why it's called a bucket weight lead. Now, my little beauty. I'm gonna find a nice place for you as well. There you are. I think it's time to celebrate with a beer. I mean, we're almost done. With the recordables. Although one find at the end of the season, the sensor really is a fraction of the sensor, obviously. Really created a challenge for identification. But there was one smart guy on Facebook who got it right. And he took this picture in a museum. This is a big piece, and my piece obviously is part of the lid. It was used by priests to burn incense and, you know, to dingle dangle in front of them. And it's found close by a church, late medieval. late medieval. Some people claim that the middle age, that, you know, the 1500s are, you know, maybe not medieval, blah blah blah, Christopher Columbus and so on, but we can say 1500s. Nice piece. It's going on the tree. Now let's try to recapture that moment when I found that stuff while I get myself a beer. And go! Sunday morning! Look at that beautiful weather! I've been digging trash over here, and Chris walks towards me very determined with a big grin. That's lead. Sorry, Chris. That's lead, isn't it?
So thin?
Yeah, I've seen it before. Kind of a token.
Helvete.
History repeats. Chris is coming, I'm going to fool him. Yeah, in an area with plenty of iron, I still managed to kind of pick out those small, tiny silver coins. This is probably a 2 shilling. Don't point your finger, it's not nice. It's just a button. Relax, have a value. Just
You had me going there. Yeah, so.
There, new plan. I'm following the road that leads up to the church. I have no idea if this is the original road. But have a look at this. I like that. I like those ornate stuff there, but I don't know what it is yet. Doesn't have to be very old. I just like those ornate stuff. I have no idea what this is. Really hard to tell. It's a fragment, quite a big piece. I like the color, the bluish copper color. I like that. I like the cross. That's a cross mark, a cross pattern. That's an early decoration feature. But I'll clean this in water because it's obviously in good condition. I don't like that hole. We have to clean it in water. Yeah, I might be a complete idiot, but this looks old to me. I have to take coordinates again. I think I don't like that hole. What do you think, Christian? Look at that! Look at that cross there. Look at the cross. That's the first indication, right? And the color of the copper is bluish, but I don't like that little hole there. That hole. That something could have been slipped in there, stopped there. But that can be old.
Can be old, yeah. Can be modern as well.
Yeah, I know, it can. It's very hard to tell. But that cross is, they wouldn't do that in the 1800s.
But I have a hard time figuring out the function.
Yeah, we can speculate on that later, but I'm just looking at the ornation, the patterns. They are very crude, very early.
Yeah, I agree.
Very, very early style. They wouldn't do that in the 1800s.
And you see here as well, it's even.
It's not, and it's not circular. Yeah. And Chris and I, we could have babbled on forever about that piece, but the sensor is gone, and now we move to the creme de la creme of the coins. I never thought when I started this hobby that I were to find Norwegian medieval coinage. And I got an email from the university a week ago, and they do actually believe it is a Magnus Lagabøte and not his son Eirik Magnusson, which means it's a much more significant king. Although we had a good theory, Kjetil and I, and especially Kjetil, that it was his son. They now believe that it is a Magnus Lagabøte. It's from the year 1280, and this is how it looks like. It's folded, so this is two photos attached to each other. This is how it was folded. This is one known sample, and I think this coin makes number 8 or 9 of all coins from this king, and he was a very important king, and he reigned for like 20 years, something like that. So that was the best find this season with regards to coins in Norway. And I found it with Chris, and I would like to say cheers to Chris. I know we have sometimes we don't treat each other that nice out in the field. It's just the way it is. I enjoy detecting with you a lot, Chris. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I hope to see you. I'm looking forward to our trip to the UK in March. So we're gonna hang up the Lagabøte, but first let's have a look at the moment when I found it, because I wasn't that ecstatic, to be honest. For some reason I was more hung up with the fact that the coin was bent, and I didn't really realize the potential. I thought it could be old, but I was not sure. And you know how it is to ID stuff out in the field. It's very hard. It's very hard. Pain.
You're taking the bus home.
Pain.
It's pure justice.
Pain.
Give it to me. I'll straighten it out for you, Martin. No worries.
Pain. My first hammered silver coin in Norway, and it's bent. I'll clean it up. And this is old. This is not the normal 2 shilling 1600s. This is recordable. It's old as hell. But it's gonna be very hard to ID it. Well, maybe that can be a shield on a lion. I'm not sure, but it's it can be recordable. It's very hard to tell from here. It can be a 2 shilling, but it can also be very old. But it's folded. God damn it. Yeah, I agree. That was kind of a silly way to react. But that day was actually one of my best days in Norway with regards to coins. I found 3 other coins later on. I'll show you that later. We'll get there. We'll get there. But right now, this one is going on the 3. So far we only have cardboard pieces on our 3. No precious metals. No funny stuff at all. Just paper. And none of the other guys that I were with that day, this was a great field, and we're going back, found anything that day. And that was because when you're filled with iron, when the ground is filled with iron, you have to take it slowly. You have to use the fast program, maximum signal separation, and you have to lurk them out of the ground. This concludes the recordable session. They're all on the 3. Now we have a bunch of silver coins and other finds to go through, but that means I'll have to clean up this table and get myself another beer. Right, change of scenery. We're moving into the silver coins, and I'm gonna take for granted that you are aware that before 1814 we had Danish kings and Norwegian kings, and then we went into the Swedish Norwegian Union period, And then in 1905, we made our own coinage. I've been pestering you with that for 3 years. We're gonna start in the Danish period, and we made some, I made some great finds this year. You can see the date, it's very crushed. 1664, Frederick III found it with the Lagabøte. Moving on, Christian V, 1677. Danish coin. Followed by 2 Frederick IV, 1 minted in Kongsberg. In other words, 1 minted in Norway. This one, 2 shilling, 1704. And 1 minted in Glückstadt. Same king, but not the same. You can tell the difference. Norwegian editions will always have 1 king. Sorry, 1 lion. While German editions or Danish editions, same, will have 3 lions. Moving on to a great find that saved my day because I actually managed to lose one of these. It's a 12 shilling, 1717, not minted in Norway. Also Frederick IV, kind of a biggie. You don't find them very often. Very good quality silver. Very good. 1717. Followed by 1763. That makes it Frederick V. A 1 shilling. 1 shillings are more rare than 2 shillings, often. Followed by a toasted Christian VII, 1783, 4 shilling. But it's severely toasted. Now, this can't be silver, can it? Look at that bluish edge there. It's so toasted. I like that edge. It seems very firm. Water. 4 shilling silver, but it's so toasted. What have they done on this grass? It's my second target. I've never found this before. 4 shilling. I think it's from the 1700s. Cool. You see the silver there? Thank you very much. I want to say cheers to a buddy in the club who did his best conserving this. This was completely unreadable when I found it. I tried my little tricks, but he did it better. He used a little bit of mechanical cleaning as well. That should be said, but I think it's quite nice. Another Christian VII. You know that Christian VII is the last king in the Danish period. A toasted Norwegian 2 shilling, 1779. Took me some time to read that off, but I know it's 1779. Toasted. And this little cutie, it's not silver, it's copper. 1 shilling, 1812. We're now in Frederick VI. Christian VII wasn't the last king, but Frederick VI, 1812. We're in the middle of the Napoleon War. We're in the middle of a lot of turmoil in Europe, and he didn't have a lot of copper to make coins from. You can tell this is a very, very small coin. So that's my Danish coins. New record, 1664. Never found such an old coin before, although it's toasted. I finally start to dig up those cool hammered 2 shillings. My first Christian V. Some Norwegian Frederick IV. Frederick IV did, he made substantial amounts of coinage, but it's still cool to find Norwegian editions, and of course, very cool to find 12 shillings. That's my coins for the Danish period, and they're all going up on the tree with my new patented solution. Remember this? This is my first silver coin ever. Oscar II, 1896, 50 øre, 50 øre, half a crown, and they're all going up on the tree in this little plastic invention of mine. Moving on, you know, Oscar II 10 øre, they will always show up, no point making a biggie out of it. However, this love token from Denmark was cool with the inscription 29th of August 1883, someone scribed in that coin. And yes, this was a milestone. Oscar I, my first Oscar I, he only made good coins, 87.5% silver. This is 24 shilling. This would buy you a keg of beer, without doubt. A really, really nice find. 1847, 24 shilling with Tron. And also with Tron on one of the goose hunt trips, 2 shilling, 1825, Carl John the 14th. And I have to tell you, I've changed my perception of this king completely after reading this book. This guy was a real king. I mean, all other kings who've had after him in the Swedish period, sissies. This guy was a general, fought with Napoleon, he argued with Napoleon. He could have been the new Napoleon. He won like 50 battles in Europe from roughly 1802 to 1814, 1812. He had command over Polish, Spanish, French, Swedish. He was a great general. He fought in the first line. Don't kid with this guy. But he made awful coins because he was broke. But like this one, only 25% silver. Of course, he has some really nice biggies, but you won't find them detecting. Carl John was a cool king, and I have much more respect for him and his coinage after reading this book. And if you read Norwegian, you should read it. And we had another first this year. You know, our first Norwegian king, who was a Dane, King Håkon VII. He made silver coinage up until 1919. This is 50 øre, half a krone from 1916. Not very rare, but you don't really find that modern Norwegian silver coins, and you don't find them that often. And I also found a 25 øre. Better condition, this one, 1919. Last year they were struck. And that kind of that's cool finds, because they make great additions. So that's the Swedish period for you, and a little bit into the Norwegian period. That is the silver coins, and they are going up on the tree. Yep, and there they are. 17, only 17. But it's all right. You have some 1600s in there, and that's fine. And finally, I'm starting to feel the beer. It's going on the tree with the silver eagle I received a couple of years ago from a viewer, and my first silver coin. The rest of the silvers from the Czech Republic and from the UK and so on, they are not granted access to my tree this year. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, 1 troy ounce of silver. Coming up. My first silver coin. Cool. Oscar II, 1896, 50 øre. Cool enough. Oscar II, 10 øre. Nothing to scream and shout about, although I still do it when I find them. Incredible, isn't it? 5 seasons and I still scream for them. And I can't possibly bore you. Ah, that's the nice 4 shilling. I can't possibly bore you with all these. So I'll hang them up. And we'll get started with the relics. There they are, all 17 spread around. Cheers for that. And I know what you're thinking. What about Norwich? What about Hampshire? Well, I haven't received the fines yet, so can't do anything about it. Only thing I can say is Merry Christmas to Dave and Trish and Frank and all our American friends who are so generous to let us participate in Norwich. We're coming back 2014, and 2013 we're going back to Norwich with another guy, with another detector tour operator. We'll see how that ends up. So there won't be any films or finds from the UK this year. We're keeping it to Norway. Now we have to check out the relic department, which means we have to clean up the table again. Where to start? I think I'm gonna start with this. Obviously this is not all from 2013. But I simply cannot archive these kinds of finds after a year. That's too much work. But I do recognize some of them, and some of them are obviously much more interesting than others. So let's just sweep over the table and find a few candidates to add to the tree and try to focus on the best finds of this year. Mostly buckles, or things that appeared to be buckles when I found them. This obviously is not from Norway, that would be recordable. This is from this year. I've forgotten what that piece is called. It's 1800s. It's a pin, it's a needle, and it has a special name, but I forgot. But it's kind of cool. It was full of stones. At some point it was full of stones. It's a shame I can't remember the name. This buckle is also from this year. It's very thin. I do think it's a double loop. It can be 1600s, but I like it. It's thin. This is a girdle hook, obviously not from Norway. Some typical shoe buckles. You find them a lot. I like finding toys, and sometimes I do find quite a few. You see, you have this Spanish, and then now that's a horn blower. That's a Spanish sailor. That's another horn blower. And this is some kind of goat. They were often made in lead. Lead were cheap, easy to mold, and they didn't care about the health of the children. Because the children would be like today, they would put them in their mouth and do all sorts of stuff with it. Thimbles, I do think this is a silver thimble. Me and Chris found it this year, 1st of May. We were supposed to go water detecting, but we found another field. Kettlefoots, they show up. They are screamers. A bullhorn screw. I wonder where the rest are. I think I've found plenty. This buckle is nice, 1700s. You can tell from the ornaments, but it's all kind of crusted up, and I haven't had time to clean it and conserve it. That's another problem. Nice buckle with the pin still intact there. Oscar II, bronze, 1, 2 and 5 øre, all from late 1800s, early 1900s. Crap coins. More lead toys. This is from, well, my first seasons. It's actually a quite heavy piece. This might be a book clasp. It's a rather big, but it could have been a book clasp. Watch rinders, they do show up, and the Deus is very good at picking them up as well. This is from the UK. This is Roman. It's a bead. It's very old. This is from Hampshire this year. Pete didn't believe me when I told him it was a Roman toothpick. So somehow it found its way into my luggage. I thought this was really old. This is from this year. I thought this was really old, but it's not. It's 1800s, 1700s, and it's a belt fastener, a snake belt fastener, very popular amongst hunters. It's actually this one, and they are well documented. I'm sure you have a few yourself. First World War badge from the Czech Republic, long time ago that. Weight leads, bottom crossed, could be for fishing. Another weight lead piece. I think they're from the Czech Republic. I think also this spindle weaver. I'm not even sure if it is a spindle weaver, but it's from the Czech Republic. And of course plenty of lead seals. Some are nice, some have decorations, some are just awfully boring. A crunched Krautel bell, a big one. This one is for a bull because of the size, and it's from this year as well. This is pure silver, a bracelet found this year, heavy. I thought it was the top of a paint box, and I joked with the other guys I were with, and I said, hey look, there's a silver bracelet just behind our car, and it was a silver bracelet. And this is also silver. This badge is cool, but it will be very hard to find a good ID on it. It's not pure, you see, it's brass, and they've added some smeary lead kind of alloy to give it some weight, and it doesn't have an inscription, doesn't have anything. This was my first matrix seal. I found it in Fredrikstad. It's in copper, unfortunately. I haven't been able to reconstruct the actual signature, but matrix signature rings and seals are always very, very appreciated. Junk jewelry, more junk. This year's clad is a total of 18 crowns. Wow, that's cool. That just shows you that when you stop detecting the trashy places, you'll find less clad, but you'll find more cool stuff. Buttons. Buttons are hard because they very often show up very crusted, very bad condition, sometimes as fragments that you can tell was a cool button once in a while, but it's not. Sometimes you're lucky. This is from this year. It's a bird. It's a nice button. This is kind of the buttons you really want to find, because it's the military button with the lion, our national lion. They show up in different shapes. In the 1800s, they didn't respect the lion that much, so they put it on the postman's hat. Nowadays, they wouldn't. They would probably treat it with a bit more respect. This is artillery. You can tell it's two cannons in a cross. It's gold gilded. Not that bad shape. Boom, boom, boom. Is this a lion? Nah, I'm not sure. No, it's not a lion. One of the best things I find is lead seals. This is a biggie. 4 lod. That wasn't used to weigh, this was used to weigh heavy stuff. The best one, this is from this year. The C is for Copenhagen. The king is Christian VII. I think it's 1 lod, around 16 grams. This is an old military pharmaceutical lead weight from a couple of years back. You can see the international sign for pharmacist on there. So you can imagine that this was some kind of military doctor weighing up opium or whatever for the soldiers who got injured. The best finds in the relic department this year, unquestionably, this lion from around 1750. It's a Danish version. You can tell from the back and from the bow, below. It could have been on a uniform hat, or it could have been on a munition bag, but it was a great find. I was really happy with that. This was not a key, as I suspected. It is part of a 1700 scissor, and that is where the blade would go. So it's missing a part, but it gave me a great thrill to find it. So the best relics, non-recordable this year, just now on the fly: the lion, the scissor, the weight lead, Christian the Seventh, the snake buckle, a belt buckle for a hunter, and a couple of nice buttons as well. Yeah, that's and this harlequin. It's called a harlequin. It's a harlequin, and it would have been very nice once upon a time. And I can also add this silver thimble. That's the best relics from this year. So they're going on the tree. I almost forgot. There are a couple of few finds from this year that we need to include. This is a food token, late 1800s, Christiania dampkjøkken. Basically the old kitchen where poor people would go to get food, and they would buy this token and hand it in. And you can see they also shamelessly used the lion just to give the token some kind of monetary value, or the perception of value. This Spielmarke is a game token, German, late 1800s. When I found that in a garden in an old mansion, I was sure I had a silver coin, but it's not. It's obviously it's copper, but it's quite cool. People collect that stuff. These are 17th of May medallions. They were made in silver and copper, all to kind of meet different needs in the population. The normal people would buy the copper versions, and the rich people would buy the silvers. And they were new editions every year for the 17th of May, which is our national day. That's the day when our constitution was signed in 1814. And this is from 1886, and the other one is from 1800s as well. And there's another medallion, but this is a Catholic medallion. It has nothing to do with the 17th of May. It's a religious medallion that you would buy in a church or from a monastery or from a religious group to show that you supported the gospel, or the spreading of the Christian text, if you'd like. These are all finds from this year, so they will have to go on the tree as well, together with the goodies. Let's get those relics up on the tree. Now this starts to look like a tree. We have recordables in the form of cardboard. We have 17 silver coins, and we have a small selection of some funny relics, some more significant than others. And we have to top it all off with... Oh, believe me, I've dug my share of tent plugs this year as well. They're in a drawer somewhere. I'm saving them for my retirement when I'm moving out in the forest. And there are two of my favorites. They were sent to me from the US. I think it was in 2010. Possibly 2011. Now, we have to get it done. Light it up. And wish each other Merry Christmas. Done. I don't know, this is probably the best. I'm very happy with this stream. It's one of my best. It has plenty of recordable stuff. I even have these small candies. That's my first. I love the small mushrooms. We even have a little 12 shilling. That's always cool. My little lagabøte. Don't mess with lagabøte. 1 ounce of silver. Not to be taken lightly. Let's see if those old German light still works without burning down the place. Wow. Yeah.
Many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you.
Now I don't know why you metal detect. Well, I can guess. But I do it because it brings me closer to understanding the past. And that makes me make sense of the present. And sometimes I actually feel that the past is better than the present. But of course that is a romanticized, discounted version of the past. When we dig up things from the Roman period or from the medieval period or even from just a couple of centuries back, life was hard. Us normal, mortal, non-royal, working class people, life was not very good to us. It was, as Hobbes said, short and brutal. But by exploring the past and thinking about the past and reading about the past and holding evidence of the past in our hands, we can get a more sane perspective of our presence. Maybe even our future. Because if our actions today will have consequences in the future, and if we can improve the actions we do today by understanding the past, then bringing a machine out in the field and listening to beep 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 and picking up stuff makes more sense. And it's great fun. So I've had my best metal detecting season ever. I've found tons of cool stuff. In my opinion. You might disagree. But I've had a great season. And I hope you had a great season. And I thank you for watching my videos. I've been doing this for a couple of years now. And I still enjoy all your comments. And that is part of what keeps me going. So have a very Merry Christmas. And I wish you a great new year in the 2014. Let's all do our best to understand the past so we can improve our actions today and maybe somehow make the future a better place. Merry Christmas.